Is this thing working? Hey, that's working. Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing? I'm super excited to get this started. Sorry for starting a little bit late. Still a slave to my normal day job. And I got a last minute phone call, so I had to take it. But welcome, everybody. It's good to see you. I am. Hi, Kisara. I love Pikachu. He's the best. We're here to talk about my Batman fan films, Riddle of the Mask, and Truth of the Mask. These were really interesting films for me because my brother Adam wrote a fan film, and I thought it was really good. So to kind of encourage him to continue to make fan films, or to continue to make anything, I said I was just going to go shoot what he made, what he wrote. So I worked with him on that, and we kind of did a little bit of rewriting, and then got to a spot where we both felt good, and then we went ahead and shot Riddle of the Mask. And for anybody that can, it's going to be really obvious, but anybody that can match up the voice of one of the characters in Wizarding War with one of the actors in Riddle of the Mask and Truth of the Mask, you let me know. So, not really going to go much more into it because that's all I need to say. Let's go ahead and take a watch of Riddle of the Mask. Obviously, that was not my capture for Riddle of the Mask. My Stream Deck stopped working right now, so this is the technical difficulties fun part. Yay. All right, here we go. I am so sorry for that logo. I love the Fire Phoenix, but I use Papyrus. I'm so sorry. That's my font.
Bertinelli, otherwise known as the Huntress, age 32, daughter of a former but respectable crime lord. You chose to swear your...
So initially I wanted this to be like in total darkness, like you couldn't see anything, and that way it would be easier on the what's it called?
I, on the other hand...
Sorry, I know that's low, but it's like kind of loud for me, and I can barely hear myself talk. But that's a little better. So, again, I wanted to be everything being in total darkness, so it would, like, you couldn't understand where they were, and that was part of the facade. Facade, he just said, and I said at the same time.
Faith, I'll save you here, sister.
Let me actually see if I can bring it down a little bit.
That's right. Your salvation depends on the truth of your conviction.
Okay, that should be all right. Let me know if it's still too quiet. But anyways, like, everything's about facades for the Riddler in this film, and I wanted it to, everything to seem like it was bigger than it was. But having a sense of depth is really important, so her having a background is just kind of how it turned out, which was important.
What's the point of all this?
The point is coming, my dear. Oh, by the way.
So, Bill Murray is the Riddler, and he did such an amazing job, but I'll never forget his audition, because when he first started the audition, he was doing Adam West Riddler, and it was ridiculous. And I was like, I can tell you're a good actor. Let's take this in the entirely different direction. And I just said, Chris Nolan Batman. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he did it, and I was like, He's the Riddler.
No more Riddle.
Like, I auditioned like 20 people,
happens
and
tonight
after he did his second
far more
take with me, I was like,
life-changing
we're done.
than the result of some paraplegic.
And I like the idea of what Adam did here of like
Thick sage.
Riddler's done
Born
with
Charles
riddles.
Victor Zaz.
And he's just kind of
An
sick
orphan
of
who had the fine reputation
doing the things he's done because they just fail.
What he
So
wants.
he decided to take a very direct approach in what he wants. And, you know, take hostages and torture and things like that. And I was like, that's cool. I like that because live action, his riddles are difficult to translate into live action. We'll see about the new Batman movie coming out. I'm excited to see it. And Paul Dano playing the Riddler.
Who is the Batman?
What?
Who is the Batman?
I love that because he's very theatrical, and then he's like, what? And he's like, I have to repeat myself? Okay, stay in character.
And your boyfriend are connected to car batteries that are both electrically charged from a certain point. I press the button, and you both are dead in 20 seconds. I have found from experience that this is a very uncomfortable way to die.
Edward, I don't know.
Really? I'm more than aware you heroic types are willing to drop your lives for some higher calling, but you would let him die. You would sacrifice this man's utmost.
It was interesting trying to figure out his dialogue. Initially, he was way more Shakespearean than this, and I was like, we need to tone back the dialogue and like make it a little bit more accessible. And that was a bit of a fight between myself and Adam and another friend who is also a co-writer. And we tried to make it so like it was a good balance. And that was a good lesson to learn on this one, is like collaborating with a writer on this, making sure that their vision.
Bruce Wayne!
Also, I was like, yes. When I wrote the script and she just gives up his name, I was like, excellent. I love the kind of stakes with that. But anyways, coming up with a lesson of like working with a writer was a really important thing for me to do with this film. I think that was the biggest thing that I got out of making this film, is collaborating with a writer.
Do you think I'm that naive?
What?
The wealthiest socialite in the entire city.
Oh, I just noticed a continuity error that I never noticed until now. On the shot with him, he's holding the cane in a certain way. The other OTS, over the shoulder, he's holding it in a different way. Well, now he's holding it correctly, but in the previous two shots, he was doing it wrong.
His parents died. He disappeared for 10 years.
Look, Helena, if you're not gonna take this serious.
Come on, he's never been with a girl for more than a week. He's reclusive, he's smart.
He's an idiot. Haven't you seen him on the news?
Did you ever think that was just all an act?
Just stop!
I love that all our points are kind of
I will press this button.
useless. They're not great points.
If you want to be saved, you will tell me his name.
And I'm telling you, if you would just look at what's in front of you!
That turned out way more intense than I ever meant it to. Like when she gets kicked. Like, obviously she doesn't really get kicked, but we did a visual effect, and when I got it back, I was like, I think we just broke her ribs.
And I'm going to take you
You know,
there.
if it were being real.
Tell me what I want
Also,
to
that
know,
shoe,
or I will do
it's just a
this
hand.
plain
It's just an
and
arm.
simple. I will take this gun
I didn't
and I
wanna
will
risk,
blow your boyfriend's
160-pound
face off
man
while you watch.
putting his foot on
Tell
her
me!
throat.
Tell me who the Batman is!
Lots of back and forth cuts. Choke her as long as possible. Keep the tension going.
Fine. If nothing matters to you, then you won't mind.
Teresa really excelled in this little moment here.
Why does it matter to you?
Like, she really knocked it out in this particular moment here.
His identity.
You should
Why
look up
does it
Teresa
matter?
Severio. She has
Why
a
do you
prominent
want
career
it?
as a DJ.
Why I want it isn't important. What matters is
You haven't thought this through at all, have you? I'll bet I know why you want his mask.
all right. Indulge.
You're afraid of him.
I was also really impressed with the makeup on
how many times
Teresa.
It's
My friend
easy
Chrissy
to put
did
on
it,
a front when you have him in some
looks really
elaborate
solid.
trap of yours, but he's gotten under your skin. I'll bet you got beat up as a kid.
One of the toughest parts with scenes like this is that the actor
Someone
can
like
go
you could never find
in
out.
so many different
All you
directions
could
with this.
do was hurt
So
him.
my
On the
job was
inside,
to try
humiliate
and
him. That's what
make
they
sure
want
that
back.
she had the
Isn't
freedom
that
to do her job as an actor while
win.
pulling off
I'm going to kill
the
you now.
emotions
So
that
you
I
find out his
imagined she'd
identity,
have in
right?
this moment.
The
And
only
this
logical
one
thing
was
to do
like,
is sell it to your associates, right?
I told her that she needed to
then you
figure
do
it
what?
out in her head,
Kill his friends, his
like
family?
figure out
I
like
imagine so.
the answer to how she's going to get out of here as she's
Humiliate
talking.
him. Make his life a
And
living hell.
for me to communicate that took a
Maybe.
minute. I remember it took me a few takes
Even
to
break.
get it right. And one thing that I don't like to
Break the
do
man.
is puppet
Break
actors. Like,
the
tell them,
back.
when you do this, you have to do this. When you get to this line,
A
you have to
man
look at
so
him like this. I
strong
hate
and
doing that.
skilled and
I like to
resourceful
just
as
let
the
the
Batman,
actor figure it out
and
for
you
themselves.
wanna break him.
But once in a while, I'll have a very specific thing that I want to do.
He's the
And
world's greatest detective, you idiot.
that moment where
what?
she's like, even
The
break him.
Batman
I was
doesn't kill.
like, that's how I see
Interesting
it, and
that
this
you
is how I
would
want to
even
do
say
it.
That. You're implying that the Batman wouldn't kill because you assume I was about to tell you he would.
I know what you're trying to do here.
You scar him, you break him, you take everything from him. But what do you think a man, even the Batman, is gonna do when he has nothing left to lose?
Also, this movie is the next step in evolution of blocking for me, where Riddler gets to walk around, but she
Puts in
doesn't.
your eyes the fear.
And there's nothing I can do about that. So I wanted to make sure I did as much as I could to
think
get
about it.
Riddler
A
to
man
be
with
walking
nothing
around.
left to protect, no one to live for, no more limits.
I said shut up!
You want to
And
hear the
you
truth
can
of my
have
convictions? You
limits
want to
with
be
that.
saved?
When your camera and your lighting can only have certain setups, and you only have a certain amount of time every day to get what you need.
Through your facade at worst. Now you have to drop.
A little bit of the score from Dark Knight right there, of the Chris Nolan films. Again, Alex Arnson. I just don't work with anybody else unless I don't have a choice, and that situation hasn't come up yet. And yeah, the whole idea with this story that really drew me to it is like the Huntress gets out of the situation, both of saving her own life and making it so the Riddler, can't believe that it's Batman, by basically saying, like, if you try to reveal the identity of the Batman, it's not going to go well for you. In fact, it's going to be hell. In fact, it's going to be you wish you were dead bad. I actually really like this moment. She stands up, and now she's taller than him. It's a show of a shift of power between the two. So that's the fun of directing, is to getting to do stuff like that. And I have to admit that this plot twist, I was never 100% on board. Thought it was cool, but I was like, wow, that's a lot of risk that Bruce Wayne is taking, that Batman is taking with the Huntress. But at the same time, tests like these, it's only going to be really great if they're real. Also, my buddy Adam, hang out with him all the time. Always looking for roles for him.
You did
Adam
good.
Ward.
Yeah, it was me.
But why?
Big man. He needed some assurances. Edward didn't know, so we dropped some breadcrumbs and led him right to you. Of course, if things went sour, we had our contingencies.
Well, that was a good slap,
You could have
because
told me ahead of time.
the earlier slap was
Would've been a
not
very
good.
test now, would it?
You know the Riddler left his gun back there.
Come on, babe.
I like you better without a face.
Oh, come on. Alina! Alina, come on!
This is one of Charisse's songs. I'm going to turn that down a bit. But yeah, this is one of Charisse's songs, and she let us use it for this film. She's got some really killer stuff. I think DJ Rap is her official name in the DJ community. But yeah, this is super fun to make, and it was very much I just want to keep practicing directing, and the fan film thing seems to be working out, like with greater good. But the main thing that attracted me to it is that Batman wasn't in it, and that even if Batman was going to be in it, like, I'd rather do it without the suit. And that's where I got the inspiration. Well, one of the reasons I got the inspiration for Truth of the Mask is Truth of the Mask has Bruce Wayne, no Batman, at least not in his suit. So that's what was really important to me. And me and my outdated websites. All right, so let me get set up for Truth of the Mask. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making that, and it was definitely a totally different. Bye, Bellatrix. It was great hanging with you. Thanks for hanging out with me and all our fans in the UK. I always feel so bad for you guys. But yeah, it was a really fun time. It was a really good experience trying something new, something that was much more of like a gritty thriller kind of movie. And the next one kind of takes the thriller aspect to a different level, or tries something else. And I got to do way more blocking, which is the thing I love, and got to really experiment with more than 2 actors, which greater good I felt I had 4, but it was really like 3, and the interactions were minimal. While I feel like this one was much more, the interactions were much more organic this time, or at least that's what I tried to pull off. And also took some risks because I basically wanted the sequel to basically answer the question of what if the world knew that Batman was Bruce Wayne, or what if that that risk was taken where it came out. So I kind of like tried an idea around how that would look. Hi, Ben. Good to see you. Glad you're here. And the main reason, why Truth of the Mask exists, the next one, is that Kevin Porter, the guy who's super well known as like the fan film's Batman, the fan film community's Batman, who shows up as Batman all the time on Bat in the Sun, which is a YouTube channel, contacted me and said we should do something together. And I said, sure. So the natural progression was to make another Riddler Batman film based on the story that happened. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Oop, gotta fix that. The only thing that I haven't figured out how to do well with Twitch yet is how to set up my system before anybody sees it. So I'm like very much a perfectionist in how it looks, but I don't want the audience to see me setting up how it looks. So, oh well. Again, I apologize for the papyrus.
Did you like the movie?
Yeah. He didn't like the movie.
Hey, whoa. Give me your money.
And that voice is
Mom?
It's okay.
what's the cameo? That's my dad, and that cameo of the criminal is me. I love the idea of the movie starting off with him falling asleep at one of his own little functions, and that every night he has nightmares about his parents' death, because I'm a masochist.
Great charity, Bruce.
Lots of little cameos in this. That's Talia. Talia al Ghul. And the DP for this film, John Hafner, he did the cinematography for Snape and the Marauders, and oh my gosh, he killed it.
Only a few million.
How are you, Helena?
Like this just looks amazing.
No. It's even
Whatever
weirder.
lenses he used, whatever filters he put on the lenses, it just was amazing. I'll try to bring up some of the lens and filter stuff in Snape and the Marauders when I do that commentary tomorrow.
We could talk.
I didn't come because of your
Well, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. About
free drinks.
different take on the
Some of us have to budget for our costumes.
Broken Pearl scene.
3 months, Bruce. 3 months of nothing since your little test, and now you want to talk. What makes today different from yesterday, last week, last month, or I don't know, the day I got my ass kicked?
Keep your voice down. You needed time to heal. I needed time to observe.
Observe what? Me?
Also, you might not have noticed,
See what
but
I
when
would
he
do
gets
after I was
handed the
nearly killed
drink,
3 different
it's
ways?
a different color than the
learn.
alcoholic
This was a
champagne. So
setup.
he's drinking
You sold
non-alcoholic
me
champagne.
For a test of some sort of
I like to think that Bruce
assurances?
Wayne doesn't drink. It would just be mess him up in
You
terms of
seem
like
pretty assured.
staying in shape.
Did give away the identity of Batman.
No, an eye for an eye, right?
My decision was a calculated risk. I knew that the Riddler would have no need of you once he got to me, but you were rash. You were in the moment.
To save Vic.
Charles put himself there. He would have been fine.
And what if he hadn't? What if it had been some truly innocent person there? Would you still be lecturing me here? As far as I'm concerned, I passed your dumb test. And you're lucky you didn't believe me.
That luck is about to be tested again.
That's true, Bellatrix. Kevin Allen is the best Sirius Black. Well, we'll say on the same level as Gary Oldman. This is a fun reveal. I like that shot.
Did you invite him?
Relax.
Helena! You are the last person I'd expect to see.
This is definitely pushing the line as far as like
Likewise.
what's realistic for like
Interesting now.
all of these patrons who are not paying attention to him, except for that moment. They're like, oh, he smells bad. But like to me, there's like a great moment in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo where everybody is courteous with each other to a fault, and that like almost gets the main character killed, because some people just even with uncomfortable
Amazing.
situations
No one
can't.
recognized you in this crowd.
I don't need a cow
Yeah,
that
see,
covers everything
like
but the
amazing. No one
jaw
recognized you.
line.
Maybe they do, and there's not saying anything, or who knows. Like
Yet they show up.
it's kind of crazy that he's getting away with this, but there is behavior that I reinforce later in the film that some people just refuse to believe what they see in front of them.
Something tells me I would be welcome.
Again, trying to get more blocking, get him to walk
wrong?
around.
Batman.
That's a loaded assumption, Edward.
Not much of an assumption.
I remember talking to Kevin about getting this
See, Ms. B here.
this particular
Only because he set us up to it.
suit. Like he got himself a suit because he likes it to be tailored, and we were picking up ties, and I said, "How about the blue one?" It's like, "Why?" It's like, "Because that's like classic '80s Batman."
You planned for that.
It's like he never stops being Batman. He's got to have a little bit of
And yet
Batman
here
on him.
I am, walking right into one of your little events with enough people.
Thank you. I appreciate that you like his aesthetic, Ben. I wanted to keep it simple, but like also he probably at one point had a more complicated aesthetic and he just stopped.
Seemed too obvious.
Like he just stopped caring.
Forgive me, Bruce.
And that's kind of like the theme around Riddler's character with both films is he still wants things, but doing things as the Riddler just never worked for him, so he stopped.
That was your favorite question last we met. And I was hoping I could talk about that cute riddle you tried to hide in the article about your silly charity. But fine, I'll get straight to it.
Yeah, the only person who does a riddle, according to any of the characters in either of the films, is Bruce Wayne.
One of your silver spoons and tell everyone in this room who you really are.
That's simple.
That's simple. I would tell them myself, but your word gains far more leverage than mine.
And why would I do that?
Because
It's interesting he says that his word gains leverage,
set off the 20 pounds of
but
C4.
the leverage of him admitting he's Batman proved that no one believes that he's Batman. He's just too good at
I'll break your face.
Helena.
being an unreliable narrator to his own friends and family and whoever. What family? What am I saying?
Here's the trigger.
I'm terrible.
Here's my thumb. Go up there right now and tell them.
You're not concerned about yourself.
Quite frankly, no. I'm tired. And if an insignificant tramp like this can outwit me,
You didn't use any riddles.
then it's time I kept things as simple as I can and get the answer straight out.
Does Bruce Wayne have any step-siblings or cousins in canon? Not that I know of. It would make sense, though, he has like an uncle or great-uncle somewhere. Or an aunt or uncle based on his mom or dad, like having siblings. It's a fair question. So,
Really have to count to 3.
this thing, like the I got from, I stole from Kevin Spacey in House of Cards. He has a moment in season 1 where he does this with the union leader, and I loved it. And I'm like, let's do it in this.
2.
Again, ramping up the tension. What's gonna happen?
All right, Edward. I'll play your game.
What the hell are you doing?
So you have all this tension built up, but then like I wanted to create a little bit of irony regarding, hey, Alex is right there. My composer is playing the piano. I wanted to create a bit of irony regarding like he's about to announce to all these people that he's Batman, but no music, no sense of tension in it at all, to create this kind of like false sense of reality that the people here have.
But I wanted to thank you so much for your generous contribution to the Arkham Psychological Unit.
A lot of this was improvised by Kevin Porter. He did a great job.
Due to their pasts, have resorted to violent crime, and they're now getting the help that they need.
And like most of the background are his friends. I didn't have a lot of friends who were over the age of 30 at the time, so it didn't make any sense to have a bunch of 20-somethings in this.
Saw my parents gunned down in front of me. As you can imagine, it takes its toll on a child. I took a sabbatical for 10 years, and when I came back, I saw that the law enforcement that we had in place was no longer adequate.
Hi, Alan.
So I
Good to see you.
took my resources
God, it must be really late in the UK.
and my fortune, and I fought crime on every level. And I've done that for years and years. Well, it's gotten to the point to where I'm no longer fit to carry that mantle. And I'm passing it on to a next generation.
Yeah, Kevin,
Trusting a new
baby is
group
very
with
much.
my
Kevin is very much.
resources
Alex is very much
to
a
carry on
baby
that
face
fight
right
for
now.
me. So as of right now, I'm retiring. That's right. I'm Batman.
I like the idea of Batman eventually retiring, and he's a human being that can only do so much. And that was kind of the idea here, is that everyone's getting older.
That is a good one, Bruce. You're pulling our legs.
No, it's right. I am Batman.
I do like this
Honestly,
moment because
If you play a few notes on this piano,
Kevin was
the
hesitant to
grandfather
do
clock
this.
will open up
He
and
was-
you've got stairs down to the Batcave.
he was not too
I've got the
enthused
Batmobile
about
down there, I've got the
kind of
Bat
being
boats, I got the
a
Bat
total
plane.
clown. But
I've
I was
got
like,
the
don't
suit,
worry,
you know, the
it'll
big rubber
work.
suit.
Especially when it
It's not easy
contrasts
with that
to
voice. I am
a moment
vengeance.
later.
Swear to
Or-
me. Swear to me. It's tough.
It's true, though. He has to make a
I
different
run around
voice.
at
Like,
night,
he
I've got
sounds
the
like he's
cape
got
and I'm
cigarettes.
walking around and
He'll smoke
swinging
cigarettes all
and
day.
swinging. Okay. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Just a little too many of these, I guess. But anyway, I wanted to thank everyone for everything. Enjoy the night.
I do like the idea that he uses a voice changer, Ben. I think that was a very logical decision for Batman to make. Like, it does two things, like, you know, in TV shows when they have the voice changers, like, you can't tell who it is, but also, like, they create a voice for themselves that is very scary.
Told them that you know who
So it
I am.
adds to the fear factor.
Told them who. I'm patient enough for the highest bidder.
You're hesitating.
Why in the world would I hesitate, Bruce? Because you know what I'll do.
That's why I wanted him to be silly, because I wanted a very stark contrast between when he's being silly Bruce Wayne and when he's being Batman.
You're not cut out for this line of work anymore, Edward.
Also, it makes for
You are experienced.
a good point of, like, if you mess with me,
Relocation program.
you'll
Arkham
deal with
Asylum
Batman.
hasn't had a decent
And
psychological
Batman's terrifying
clearance
for a
in
reason.
years.
I wonder why.
If you agree to go to Arkham, I'll see that you have special privileges. You'll have your own personal cell with privileges that the other inmates don't have. You'll have supervised leave with good behavior. But you'll be a therapist there in an unofficial capacity.
The other thing that I love about this is that also, oh my gosh, just incredible acting by Bo. He drew a tear. Like, oh my gosh, he is amazing. He's fracking amazing.
Years to keep that from happening.
I just love the idea that maybe Batman needs to stop thinking about beating down criminals and start thinking about reforming them, stopping them from existing before they show up in the first place.
We let Helena go on that path with you as a test for her.
Kind of like makes a comment to the systemic issues we deal with in our societies that create criminals in the first place. And he's like, well, maybe we need to think about how we treat criminals in a different way.
You could be the most brilliant mind that I've ever faced. And I've run up against you many times.
It's like, what if Batman is compassionate to his
Closer
criminals,
to the brink than anyone else.
to the criminals he fights?
Challenged me like no one else. But I've always caught you. Because deep down, you've wanted to be caught. You've allowed it. It's like with Helena.
Yeah, right, Ben? Using his villains to affect change, it's unrealistic. It's funny because that's pretty much the theme that The Dark Knight Rises was trying to say.
Without even
And while it is the weakest of the three films, it is the most realistic. Like, Batman can't last forever, and we need to do something. We need to use Bruce Wayne's powers, not Batman's, to affect change in the city of Gotham.
I've never thought about putting them right.
But that's not a very fun comic, is it?
Silence will be payment for this charity you're offering me.
I don't know, Edward. But what I do know is I'm a man of my word.
So I love this because he's offering his hand in friendship and trust, but what he's really doing is saying, give me the detonator. So it's like a double whammy right there. I love doing stuff like that. It's like perfectly cinematic. Yes, so good. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Just when I saw it work, I was like, oh, it worked. Also, just Bo, amazing actor. Click. Nope, doesn't work. Nothing works. Everything's a facade.
You stay.
What?
Sit.
So that's Aaron Shunke. I'm so sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. He's the creator of Bat in the Sun and brought Kevin Porter on as Batman. And Kevin asked for him to have a cameo. And he often plays Robin or Nightwing.
Pressed.
Oh, that movement was too abrupt. I should have done another take. But the acting was better, so.
That thing about his identity never even crossed my mind.
Well, it's pretty obvious. You don't think he's telling the truth, do you?
About what?
About offering you a place at Arkham.
I don't know.
It seems so like him. It's out of character.
How are you and Vic?
I love that because he's like, kind of like,
After that,
his own sense of humor is entertaining the idea of doing the therapy
Yeah.
thing.
I'm not sure what he was thinking.
But also just shows just an awesome moment between two actors.
Best interests at heart.
I suppose.
They just get to play and be
Hero
actors.
stuff.
And that's really important for actors. If you give them that, they give you good performances.
Oh, like you wouldn't believe.
Like there's a little
Especially
technique I do if I use two cameras on a shoot.
I've pissed off half the league.
I could do one camera on one guy and
Come
one
on,
camera on the other, but usually I do two cameras on one person because it gets a much
He's got it all
better
figured out.
performance. Because one, they feel like they're on the spot, but two, they feel like they're getting all the
Just felt
attention.
like a mess
And
half the time.
it's kind of the point of acting is to get attention as a character.
I want to.
Obviously, it's debatable depending on the actor you ask, but
You have, wisdom.
if they feel like what they're doing is
What the
important,
hell am I doing? You're a fucking criminal.
then they'll do what they need to do to make a great performance. And then just this great shot with this amazing transition with Bo. He's just an unbelievably good actor. And then, of course, the great piano theme that is the Riddler, that is meant to be menacing in the previous film, but then is created as a much more emotionally effective moment for that particular moment. So yeah, this was really fun too because we got to shoot in a real mansion. It was a smallish mansion. It was like built in the 1900s, but it was a real mansion. There was lots of other rooms to explore and have fun in, and got it for a cool deal. I think it's because my dad and brother were living there temporarily, and they told us about it. So that was really cool. But it was just really cool. Like, that was one of the films up until Snape and the Marauders where I felt like playing pretend was being taken on a more high production value level, because we had access to a nice mansion and the camera was way more high level than Greater Good. And the lenses that the DP brought on for this film were higher quality than the previous film. So it just totally made a difference. Made a huge difference. And that's why it was... Snape and the Marauders looks so great. It's because those lenses and the cameras and filters and, like, playing pretend on, like, a high production budget level was taken to the level that you see in Hollywood productions when it came to Snape and the Marauders. And this one was the first time I got to really do that. So it really helped because then I got to feel more comfortable doing stuff like this. And I'm just going to pause right there. I got to be more comfortable being in situations that involve a higher production value. It's a different mindset when you see a full crew running around you. When you see the cast getting their makeup done and like getting their lines ready, and like the whole cohesive unit around you is getting ready for you to say action. It creates a lot of responsibility in your own brain. that makes you go, okay, time to really do this, time to really move forward. Not that I didn't do that with Greater Good, but like it's just a different environment to be in. I actually remember Calvin Allen saying, like, when he was getting ready to do Snape and the Marauders, we were on set and he didn't feel like he was really getting into it until he saw himself on camera. And then he was like, oh, there it is. Now I'm ready to go. Because everything was set up, the lighting, all the cool candles, his costume, he was in full makeup. You know, he was with the Marauders. Like, being in a situation like that really makes for a different mindset for everybody once you're on set and ready to go. So, yeah, it's a really fun experience. Highly recommend it. Anybody who wants to shoot films should shoot films. All right, friends, this was a lot of fun. I'm getting used to this whole Zoom thing. I'm getting excited to do commentary for Snape and the Marauders. Very, very excited, which is tomorrow at 7. Be sure to follow us on the Twitch to make sure that you can join me while I talk about that film. I want to talk a lot about that film, so I might pause it. Even though I said I would pause the previous films and I didn't, I want to make sure I talk a lot about that film. But also looking forward to gaming soon. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at